Hey guys, and welcome to the Legacy Boss podcast. I'm your host, Shauna Klein, along with Marcy, the amazing Marcy, and we're so excited that you are here with us today. So we are talking about mindset today. So our title today is Your Mindset Causing a System Crash? Question mark. Yeah, that's a whole big topic, and we are going to really dissect this today.
Yes.
So, we are going to really break down the reasoning that we keep getting tripped up with our own brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing. It's
It
a big
is.
thing.
It
And
is a huge thing.
I was talking to someone today on Facebook and asked what big roadblocks were, and they said the exact response is, I keep going back to the old mindset trigger, that
Yes.
old past thing. So we are going to dig into all things mindset today and get you out of a system crash. All right, so we are talking about needing to be consciously making the choice to have an epic life. This
Yes.
is something that we deserve, people.
Yes. And that right there, I think is what some of the problem is that a lot of people don't maybe consciously are aware of, is that you said you have to make that choice to have an epic life that you deserve. And I think so many of us think that we don't deserve it.
Yeah,
Right.
so
And so
true.
then,
Yeah.
yeah. And again, whether you're consciously going, I don't deserve it, or there's just some limiting beliefs that stem from some part of our life that keep us stuck in that, I don't deserve to be successful mindset.
So true. So
Yeah.
true. We have this thing that keeps coming back on us all the time. We call it self-sabotage.
Yes. Self sabotage, and I have been guilty of it. I was guilty of it for a long, long time, especially when I started my direct selling business. I would get to a certain point of success, and then I would, not knowingly, but now when I can look back and reflect, when I did some real inner work, I was constantly self sabotaging myself because I didn't feel worthy of that success. I didn't
Yeah.
feel like I deserved anything beyond, crumbs that I would scrape for. And so when I would get to a certain part, I would just stop doing all those successful habits that got me there. And it wasn't really until I internalized and went, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And I had to face and confront issues in my past, things that were, bringing me down, and really work on those consciously. Was I able to then get past that roadblock?
Yeah. So it's such a fail safe, such a huge fail safe in our brain to keep us out of being vulnerable and a little bit open, right? We don't want to experience this feeling of letdown. So then we just sabotage ourselves. We're like, well, it wasn't going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just forget about it because it probably wasn't going to be happening. And I spent some time a couple weeks ago doing on my Real Talk Tuesdays that I do every Tuesday, talking about borrowing from tomorrow. Things are not even here.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Or
just,
something that happened so long ago, it's no longer relevant in our life, right? And I think, like, a good way to put it is, and I mean, I get into, like, sorry, science friends out there, but I'm not into science. Like, wasn't good at science in school. It's like way too far beyond my little pea brain could ever wrap around. However, I've really become a student of mindset in the terms of how our brain actually works.
yeah.
And I remember taken a class, and one really good visual for me was like if you take two sticks, right, and you put one rubber band around it. Well,
Yeah.
you could take and you could stretch that rubber band, you could break it with those sticks because there's just one little loop of basically knowledge. And that's kind of like our neurons, right? We'll
Yeah.
create a belief that becomes that one little rubber band that's around those two sticks. However, if we continue to believe that, then it's like putting another rubber band and another rubber band and another rubber band until it's so tight you can't break that
Yeah.
those sticks. But the magicalness, which is our brain, right, is we can create intentional thoughts. We can be conscious with our mindset and go, you know what? I'm no longer going to believe this belief that's so wound tight because it is no longer serving me. So I'm going to create a new one. And so what happens is to create that new one is hard, right? It's tough. You have to have another set of sticks. You got to take one rubber band off this one that has, 1,000, and you put it on this new set, which again is very easily breakable. But if you continue to remove the old ones and put it on the new ones, you will now create a new thought, a new belief that's super strong. But you have to be willing to put in the work. And just like you said, when you're kind of in that comfort zone, where you're
Yeah.
like, this feels safe and good, that removing those old thought beliefs and creating a new one doesn't feel very good sometimes. And so people just want to stop before you actually get to that successful point.
Yeah. And playing safe in our life affects our mind patterns in a big, big way. When we don't ever allow ourselves to be stretched or to make mistakes, then we don't learn how to persevere. So think about
Yeah.
our children. We've all been around children's parents that are helicopter parents that do
golly.
everything for them, and they don't learn how to do anything. And then they become adults and they cannot do laundry. They
Yeah.
can't balance a checkbook. They don't know how to get their tires fixed or rotated. They don't know how to do anything because they never persevered and like pushed through
Yeah.
that really hard thing. And of course, you can't see our hands. Marcy and I are using lots of illustrations and gestures today, so you have to check them out on our YouTube video. But it causes us to come short of our dreams when we don't push through and persevere. Such a huge mind shift and paradigm shift of saying, the things that are a little bit harder for me, I should go after those things and not just take the path of least resistance.
Exactly. And it's like, I really don't think you can call yourself any type of entrepreneur if you haven't at least shared one time on any type of social media that, growth only comes from outside your comfort zone. But it is so much the truth. It's a very simple thing to say. It's a harder thing to do, but it is 1,000,000,000%, if that's even a number, factual. Right? Like you
Right.
have to be able to stretch in order to grow and in order to learn. You have to not feel comfortable.
Yeah,
And
so
that's
true.
where people get stuck up. They go, this doesn't feel good. And so like your inner self, if you go back to our caveman and cavewoman days, like that was your fear-based reaction. So you didn't get ate by the dinosaur or the, whatever crazy animal was out there, right? And so it really kept us alive. And we still have that DNA in us. And so when all of a sudden something feels scary and not good, it's like we want to revert back to, okay, I'll just stay here where it's safe. But then you're not living. You're not
Yeah,
living a life. Yeah.
so true. So true. Well, to move from dreaming to reality takes necessary action. It just takes action. And I just wanted to share a brief story about me personally that was moving forward scared. I mean, let's be honest. In business, you're going to be moving forward scared.
Most of the time.
Baby steps sometimes shuffling your feet at such a slow motion. It looks like you're in like super hyperlapse, slow-mo mode. But I remember a time in my business where I was stuck. And I just felt like there was so much more, but at the same time, there was such like concrete. I felt like my feet had been concreted. And I just had fear of moving forward
Yeah.
and doing what I needed to do. And I remembered that there was somebody that I was speaking to that's kind of like a mentor, and they asked me this question that like I would not have thought about, but they're like, "What do you want to make?" And I was like I gave some little number, like, "What do you want to make in your business this month?" And I was like, giving it, they're like, "Well, why not $5,000 a month? Why not 10,000? Why are you settling for the lowest common denominator that you can survive on? And why are you not deciding? Why do you not feel worthy enough to say, I'm going to start this journey?" It was a brand new business.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just don't know. And so what happened is it pushed me out of my comfort zone so hard and so fast, like at a trajectory. I remember getting off the phone call and just crying and feeling like I had to tap into my God-given ability to soar. There
Yeah.
was nobody that was going to be able to do it for me. There was nobody that was going to handhold me. If I would have paid a coach $10,000 a month to help me through this mindset, they still weren't going to be able to help break me out if I didn't make the decision and the choice.
Yes.
And so I think that that's one of the things that's so imperative. It's so important, is that we have to push through the barricade. We've got to do what we've never done before,
Yeah. No,
right?
I agree. I agree. And I think a wonderful thing to say to yourself and like ask that real question is, I will until.
Yeah.
I will
So
grow
good.
my business until. What is your until? Is it until you get 10 no's? Well, sorry, girlfriend. But if that's the case, you probably shouldn't start because you're going to get those 10 no's mighty fast, right?
Yeah.
I will until. What is your until? Your until needs to be massive until I make $100,000 a month. And then
Yeah.
I can turn it over to, all these other people who run it for me. And I can have my feet in the sand in Hawaii, drinking a pina colada, living the life. Like,
Right.
if that's your until, awesome. But it's I will until. You have to have that mindset of not giving up, because those things are going to hit you. They are going to crush you down. They're going to try to stop you. That's life, right?
Yeah.
That's going
So
through
true.
those zones. But it's if you can literally write down what your until is, now you've committed, right? You're like,
Mm-hmm.
I will until XYZ. And
Yeah.
when it's of something massive, that's good, and
Yeah.
it can
And I
always
think,
change, right? But
yeah, and I think it's so important to ask the follow-up questions. So, someone today, when I woke up this morning, I had posted on a social media post that they're like, "Where do you want to be in 5 years?" It was just a random post. It
yeah,
wasn't like anything like, um, and I don't typically respond to things. So I was like, I'll respond to it, and it's the response to my response was, "Well, what do you have to do to get there?" And it
yeah,
was it was so easy to throw out, "Hey, what do you want to be doing in 5 years?" "Well, I want to be doing this on a bigger scale, and I want my husband to do XYZ and do this." Okay, what is that going to take?
yeah,
Like, how are we going to get there? Like, we can't just,
exactly.
and so many people throw their dreams out. They're like, "Hey, I'm going to be $1 million business." Awesome. What steps are you taking to do that? So we've got to get our mindset straight. So super important.
No, and that really is true, because you have to have that end goal. You have to have that big dream. And usually whatever your first write down is not big enough, right? So you have to have that big ultimate dream that's so scary you don't really want to tell people, because you're like, they're gonna laugh at me. If
Yeah.
you feel scared to tell your big dream because people will laugh at you, it's big enough, right?
Yeah.
So you get that big dream, you get it on paper, you write it down, you make your dream board, whatever you need to do to have that visualization so you can start making those new rubber band connections, right?
Yeah.
But then
So
you go,
good.
okay, what's the micro goals? what are the little steps I need to take to get there? And then you break it down into smaller size chunks.
Yeah.
It's just what you said. If you just throw a big one out there and go, well, this is what I'm going to do, and you sit back and wait for the universe to give it to you just because you're trying to manifest it. No, you need to put the work in.
Yeah.
And that's those extra steps to make that mindset a reality, for sure.
For sure. So here's a quote that I had written and I wanted to share with you guys. It says, playing it safe only leads you to a life of constant dissatisfaction. Living in the unknown zone causes us to rely on a bigger person and the part of you that was made to conquer.
Oh, I love that.
It's so true that we need to realize that we were not just set here on this planet to just be like, good luck.
Mm-mm.
You know?
No.
And we need to know that aligning with God, with our spirituality, with understanding that we weren't just dropped off here and like, good luck. It's like our kids. We would never just be like, drop them off and be like, good luck, good life.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that we have so much time that we spend that we use, like you were talking about, we use such a small portion of our brain.
Yeah.
And because of that, we play it safe.
Yeah.
We just go, okay, yeah, I'm done. I'm good.
I think you really have to tap into that belief. And again, if it's not something super strong, create it, create that new mindset, that new thought pattern that you were put here for a purpose with a purpose.
Yeah.
We were not meant to just come here and survive in the cave and never go out to try and experience life, that we have a purpose. And it's finding that purpose, I think, is a big part of our life. It's aligning ourselves with God, like you said, and going, okay, what is it? And relying on Him to help us find that way, relying on those downloads, relying on that intuition, putting ourselves in a place every day to say, okay, I am open to receiving. What do you want me to do? And I'm going to keep moving forward. And you have that knowledge and that belief that He is going to show you the way. You just got to take the steps. You still have to take the steps forward.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
So we find people, this is our big uh-oh moment. We find people like ourselves who don't want to rock the boat and require any more from us than we are willing to give. It's like our safety net.
Yes.
We find people around us who just keep us in the status quo.
Yes.
It's a huge thing because we never go from point A to point B and progress to point C because we just go, and it goes back to that mindset. It's like we've created these bands and they're thick. They get more bands and more bands and more bands, and it's thicker and thicker and thicker. And then we go, this is not comfortable for me to be around people who dream because then it makes me feel empty.
Yes.
It's like this loss, like this, like, I don't want to feel that way, like I'm missing out. So if I just stay where I'm stuck and then I surround my people with people that have the same way, then there's no boats not rocking back and forth. I'm not worried about falling out.
No. And I mean, you've probably heard the, and it's real life. Like you put a crab pot in the ocean, right? And it gets filled with crabs. They can crawl right back out that hole that they came in. But when a crab starts to escape, all the other crabs will pull it down. They will pull it to pieces before they let that one crab escape.
Yeah.
And that's really, if you surround yourself with those type of people that go, wait, you're doing what? Yeah. You're starting your own business. You're trying to step outside the status quo. No. You get back here. And so you'll get those people that will just destroy you or try, right? Yeah. Where they make comments on your social media or make backhanded comments to you while you're, at the soccer practice. And you just have to elevate above. There's a real truth to who are your top 5 people you're spending your time with. If those top 5 people you're spending your time with are bringing you down instead of saying, go girl, and like shoving you out of that crab pot, right? You might need to readjust who your top 5 people are.
Yeah. So true. We waste so much time spinning our wheels in life because, well, first of all, we take God out of the equation. We already talked about that.
Yes.
But then we get like 2-year-olds. And I know you have 7 kids, so you know exactly about this. But do you remember when your kids were around 2 years old? They're like 1.5, 2 years old, and you would try to help them with something, then it'd be like, I do it, I do it.
Yes.
And or everywhere that you went took like 5 times as long because they wanted to walk, but they couldn't really walk, so you had to hold their hand, and you're like walking at like so slow.
Yes.
I see parents in the mall or something like that where you could tell their kid has like wiggled down and they want to walk, and the parents like, oh my gosh, this is taking so long.
Yes.
It's like this whole thing is, I do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to prove. And then sometimes we just take out the idea that there are people that are brought to us to support and elevate us.
Yes.
Right? I mean, we want to put people on our shoulders, and when we stand up, it elevates them to a higher place.
Yes.
But if we're not surrounding ourselves with people that are those authentic people that help, then we're not going anywhere.
No. And kind of just to add on to that, when you're really looking at how can you align yourself with that spiritual power, with that higher being, and trust him, because I think that's why we always want to do it ourselves. It's like, no, I can do it better. I know the best. I don't trust this process. And something that has personally helped me, leaps and bounds in actually a really fast way is just the affirmation and really the mantra of everything is happening for me and not to me. And I did a YouTube video on how rejection really is protection from God. Like if that door shuts, stop looking at it as a negative. Go, okay, that happened for me. I don't know why. And it still might hurt. But if you switch that mindset and you go, you know what, that happened for me, then what it allows you to do is, instead of just looking at things that happen in our life as a negative, you start to expand your mind and go, okay, well, if that happened for me, thank you for that protection. But if that happened for me, now what do I need to do next? What different paths do I need to look at? Because if that happened for me and not to me, then there's a better option out there. So when you can reverse that thinking and again have that alignment, so many more doors were open that before seemed shut or that you couldn't even see because you were just so focused on, oh my gosh, I lost this great client. Like, all these terrible things are going to happen. It's like, no, for some reason, that great client is now out of your life. So how can you now get that better client? What different tactics can you use for social media, or what different, program do you need to get to elevate, your social media posts, whatever.
Yeah. And I think that, when we take our life out of this zone of that I'm going to have to control it all the time, it's a bigger aha moment that I'm not responsible for everything that's ever happened to me.
Yes.
Because I'm moving forward. And that's a great opportunity, right? It's just a great opportunity to back up and punt, to look at your situation from a different perspective, to understand that you may be doing the right thing, but surrounded by the wrong people. And I was reading something yesterday on a huge forum, like we're talking of hundreds of thousands of people. And the question was, why do not more people surround themselves with allies and business people that you all can help each other? Like, why do we not? And some of you all have heard Marcy and I's story, which is kind of like, it's the most random way to ever like meet someone. But at the same time, I believe in no randomness that happened, right? I think it was set up for a 3-pointer and a breakthrough. And I think it was meant for a reason. But why do we so often, out of fear, like, oh, well, I don't want to align myself with someone else because they're going to steal my business, or they're going to take my ideas, or they're going to somehow sabotage me, or they're going to, and using wisdom is absolutely super uber important, right? We're not saying that you don't use wisdom and common sense, because we know common sense is not so common. But but when you put yourself in a position where you are not the victim.
Yes, you're the victor.
You are not the victim. You are walking forward into what you are supposed to be. Listen, there is 100,000 people that are probably at this moment in the earth thinking or doing the exact same thing, but the thing they can't replicate is you. There's no way that they can replicate your thoughts, your mind, your heart, your integrity, your work ethic, and so many times people get flooded into this product industry and they're like, they'll surround themselves with other people that are kind of in their niche and they'll go, but I don't know how I'm going to be successful because there's so many other people. And it's not about that.
No, and that's there's a whole nother mindset piece, right? It's that scarcity mindset. Is that there's not enough to go around.
Yes.
And that's just another one of these downfalls that we're talking about. How to break free of that is you got to stop looking at life as there isn't enough to go around. And just like you said, we're each individual. You and I are very alike in so many things, but then we're also very different, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to kind of look at, let's give another analogy of like ice cream, right? I might be the chocolate fudge chunky, peanut butter and brownie mix.
Although that sounds good.
Right? Someone else might be the raspberry sorbet. I mean, we're talking different spectrums of deliciousness of treats.
Right.
But there's enough people that are going to love the chunky chocolate, explosion in your mouth. And there's going to be plenty of people that like the raspberry. And that's okay.
Yeah.
If you are yourself, then you're going to attract those people to you because of who you are, because of your spiciness or your authenticity or your, calm demeanor, whatever that is. I'm not for everybody and I'm not, for everybody else, but I am for some people. And that's what you just have to be, is you. And God will bring those people into your life that are meant to be. When you are fulfilling your purpose, when you are stepping into it, when you are asking him to just, hey, here I am, show me what to do. And I'm going to keep moving forward. You have that belief, then he will put the right people in your place. Your purpose will be fulfilled.
So let's think for a second about every single person that told themselves 5 years ago, we should get in the toilet paper industry.
Yeah.
I mean, let's think about this. I'm seriously, like, every store has the opportunity to come up with their own branding of toilet paper, right? They can either sell the Charmin or the Angel Soft, or they can make a little bit more money and they can brand their own Food Lion toilet paper or Publix or Kroger or Albertsons or wherever in the country you listen to. And they could absolutely, like, you know what? There's too many toilet paper players already. We're not going to get in the game. And then fast forward 2020.
Oh my gosh.
And there wasn't enough toilet paper for anyone. In fact, it's the people that stockpiled it that will probably give it away as part of the inheritance for their children because they have so much. Right. But it's the people like you and me that have lots of girls in the house and was on their last roll and couldn't find any toilet paper. Now, do you think no one knew what was going to happen with toilet paper in 2020? Do you think that the people that didn't have room in their head or in their heart for launching something new would have said, oh, there's too many players in the field? And we're just using that as example, but not everyone is for everyone, and that is okay. And that is perfectly fine. But there will be those people for you. Make room for you so that the people can come in and be with you. So
love that.
So the last thing we're going to cover is intuition will grow our mindsets from what we think is possible to accepting unlimited possibilities.
Yes.
Unlimited. Unlimited. Think about that. Unlimited. That means that nobody can tell you what your cap is, what your dream is, And you get to make the decision to wake up every morning and say, I have everything that I need today to walk in greatness, to move forward, to be relentlessly focused on what I'm going to do. And you know what, guys? There will be things that are like flying arrows that constantly people that have their opinion to say, a customer that wasn't happy, a product that didn't work out right. You know, if you're creative, you made something and it flopped and the batch didn't work out, or the hat was crooked, or whatever it is. There's always going to be roadblocks, but we have to move from the place of limiting to accepting that we have unlimited possibilities.
Yes. And
so
I would say is you're doing kind of those things, like in the morning, I do a vision casting and I write down like a day in my life that's just phenomenal, and where I am and what I'm doing and everything from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. And originally I started out with, it was like, in 5 years, this is going to be my life. Yeah. And then I remember listening to a podcast and it said, take away that time. Because what if the universe has that's going to happen to you in 2 years? Well, now you're saying no in 5 years. So you better wait. Right. And so I started taking away even those limiting time frames and just opening up and saying, this is what I desire. This is what I'm working towards. And then that will happen at when it's supposed to. Right. And as long as you're moving forward, but just knowing that there is no cap, there is no limit. And so also try to not limit yourself, right, with certain numbers, or with not dreaming big enough, because the sky is not the limit, right? It's those other, they're still coming up with new planets, or bringing galaxies back, long-lived Pluto, as far as I'm concerned. But it's like, put it out there and it comes to you. Yeah.
And for any of you all listening that have not started yet, but it is your desire to start.
Yeah.
There's never been a better time for you than to start. Like, put the work in, do the research, like, lay it out, but don't say this is too much, because you don't get to decide, or someone else doesn't get to decide for you what is too much. You get to decide how far you walk and what you walk through. So
exactly.
Well, we hope you have gotten tons of value out of today's podcast. I've thoroughly enjoyed this topic, by the way. I just feel like this is the key for unlocking people that are stuck in their frustration and stuck in their analysis paralysis. And it is the one thing that will debilitate us faster than anything else in our businesses. So
yourself. You got to get out of your own way.
Yeah. Take it, punch it in the face, the limiting beliefs, and decide. Because once you decide, you move forward.
Yes.
So thanks again for being with us today. If you have not subscribed to our podcast, make sure you subscribe wherever you get on podcasts. We're pretty much on so many. I don't even know all of them.
Almost all.
We're Apple, Spotify. We're on most of them. But if you like to watch more of the interactive, and that's kind of your jam, the podcasts are also available on our YouTube channel, Legacy Boss. So hop on over there and make sure that you subscribe to our Legacy Boss YouTube channel, where we have new YouTube videos coming out every week, along with Real Talk Tuesdays. And then also, if you have not checked out our website, go visit it at www.legacy-boss.com. We have so many things coming, and we will be launching a brand new product called the Social Creative on March 1st. We are so excited, you guys. For any of you that have been struggling with showing up and being consistent and knowing what to post on social media, this is for you. I'm over the moon. I wish that I would have had this as a creative and a product-based boss for years. And so out of Marcy's and I's own struggles, we have come up with something that we feel is amazingly valuable for you guys, as well as you can hop over to Legacy Boss or to Marcy K Mom Boss and check out our group coaching, our private coaching, as well as our masterclass that will be starting soon. So we hope you guys have a phenomenal day, and we will see you guys back here next week. Have a good day. Bye.